and welcome to Agile and automated testing. We started a little bit late because the keynote was a bit longer, so I hope it's fine for you. I try to get my best to be in time. Yeah, we will start on automated testing, especially in reflecting on how traditional works and Agile works, and coming to test steps. My name is Helmut Steineder. I'm working with JIPP.IT, JIPP.IT. I'm the co-founder of JIPP.IT, JIPP.IT in 2009. Over the time, so I covered several areas, which is software development or started here almost 25 years ago, 30 years ago, right? Then I switched over to requirements engineering and did Agile project management and project management on that end. And at the moment, I'm focusing on Agile testing in several areas. So coming from web Agile testing, which is quite common right now, I have to get in Agile testing and hit into mobile testing, where at the moment a lot of noise is running out. So what I'm doing currently is I'm an Agile coach and different companies. Do Agile trainings, we have cruises which we offer. If it's needed, I jump in as Scrum Master or Scrum, Scrum product owner, where I try to get things up and running. So yeah, here are some references we have in our company. They're mainly focused in Austria, or some outside. The challenge today will be looking to traditional versus Agile. So having an idea of what happened in traditional testing, what have we done there, and what are we doing now with Agile, what's the difference? Check how testing is done in Agile world, and how we think it can be done, and what's the extensions to the standard approach, or what can be done to get it goes similar in the world of getting the requirements real time. And we have a little short intro from PDD to PDD. Just the first question of you are, who are testers in here now? Raise your hand.
Can you repeat the question?
Who are testers in here, or developers? So testers first. Okay. Okay, and developers? 2, 3.
So what are all testers? There are no testers, there are all developers.
All developers?
Yeah.
Yes and no, it can be, but it mustn't. So it would be good to have them as a developer as well, but there is also a different understanding of what they can do and what they can offer to the team.
Yes.
So it's not always needed that testers are developers. It can help, definitely, especially in terms of automation. That's right. But we'll look into that a little bit later. Okay, so the rest of you are Scrum Masters, product owners, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah? Okay. I see. Good. Looking at the traditional and Agile, we can span axis between requirements and technology. We see very certain stable areas, state-of-the-art technology, what we use, up to it's very unstable, uncertain, we don't know what we want to do in a project, to taking technology to new ground, using new technologies we haven't never used. So looking into that, we can simply say there are simple projects, there are complicated projects. We already heard about the difference between complex and complicated in the keynote, so I don't need to go into that. So if you look in that, simple, complicated can also all be tackled with traditional project management and projects. Because you know what to do, it's structured, there can be certain things applied several times, so it's not very tricky to go into that. Coming into the complex area, it's tricky to get in there because yeah, everything is changing all the time, so no one knows exactly where to go, and so on. Coming up to the anarchy part, unfortunately the actual part is over there, but it's more in the complex area. So the anarchy area, I mean, If no one knows what to do, nothing can happen. So we should try to go into the complex part and understand what we are doing. And that also applies for the testing. Yeah, let's look into projects and how they are managed. How traditional works, the project structure in a simplified way. And if we look into that, we see that traditional normally has several phases. There is a requirements phase, or squeeze out the design phase, or there's also a design phase, an implementation phase, and a workhouse, and there will be a testing phase. If it works pretty good, there is an iterative approach in the traditional way, where we do some steps in between several times, but it's not incremental. Still, we have a whole goal which has been defined in the requirements phase, and we try to get that down in the implementation phase. Somewhere in between, people are talking to each other. So there is a testing department, there is an implementation department. Maybe they talk to each other. It would be great. Most of the time they haven't. So at the very last end, when the testing jumps in, they criticize the product, and always tackle with pain points. Oh, this is not working and this is not working, which is fine at that time, but it's not very good for motivation and getting things good done. So, what's the difference in Agile? In Agile, we get a pile of papers, which is the user stories, or ethics, or themes, however you would call it. And we try to do that in circles. So we take one thing, one paper at a time, define DOR, so check that the story is fine, well defined, so people can do it and can implement it. Then we do the implementation and the testing. What's the difference to traditional approaches here? That we try, as we know, get the tester, as the colleague said, get the tester already in the team. And maybe he is an implementer as well, so a developer who has to implement tests. So in the very first stage of the project, we have the testers in there, and they can put their thoughts and ideas into their user story. So it's not only the product owner, the business analyst, or the developer who is thinking about what they want to do. There's also a testing approach in there. So they look into, is there things in there, are they testable? Can we do that? Is that somehow feasible for doing that? And therefore, sometimes if we have such guys in there, they don't need to be developers.
Are you talking about roles, or are you actually talking about specialized people? I'm not clear on that point.
I'm talking about specialized peoples and roles a little bit. If you talk about roles and there is a tester in there might still be some roles. The role definition mustn't be to have a developer being a tester, because he can also put his thoughts into the story creation phase in there, defines the test cases as well. So thinking about test cases and acceptance test criteria, you don't need to be a developer. Agree?
I'm just not clear, because we are in our company, we're just moving out of the specialized testers, and everybody is a tester in our team, and we have some supporting roles to help teams test. So I don't fully understand where you're heading.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure we need testers in the team. That's pretty sure. So, but they don't need to be developers. So there is a good thing if they are, because then they can automate the tests. It's great. But if they aren't, there can be another assistance role in there. So maybe another one is doing the implementation of that. But the major point here is that the tester brings a different thinking, brings a point of view into the system than the developer does. So in most companies I've seen, developers moving to be testers somewhere, or even worse, junior developers are the testers in the first try. So in that case, junior developers don't have a really good view on requirements. So they are definitely not are able to define good test cases because they don't know about it. So there it's pretty important to have a tester in there who is thinking about test cases and have this point of view on the system. So that's the difference. Okay? Yeah. So coming back to the project management, yeah, we have this agile style where we have this pile of stories which we implement, we run through the circles, get feedback, it's all fine. And as I already said, having the tester in the team and having the tester in creating of the requirements and definition of ready is very important, because then we get a better fit for the working system, having the quality raised. Yeah, coming to a classic one, which you might know, I guess you do. Maybe you know this scenery. Yeah. Yes, well, most of you know it. So this is a simple example of building something. It's not software. No, it's just a swing. So that's what the client wants. He wants something for his kids to swing on. It might be just a tube where someone can sit in and it hangs on a tree. That's fine. Okay? So that's what he wants. Next step, the client talks to someone who will implement that. Hopefully it's the developer, because then it's shortcut. Most of the time in the old world it was a business analyst or a requirements engineer who sat the head and talked to the client. And then the client, that's the thing the client describes to the requirements engineer, not what the requirements engineer thought about. It's just different. So our voice, our verbals, our wording are not exactly what we want to do. So we have a different thing in our head which we think of, then we can verbalize. And that's what's coming out. So even at that stage, still inside of the client, we get a gap between what you want and what he describes. And then we have several steps in between. And then the last end, that was built by the developer, because they didn't get it bit in between. So they just heard, yeah, swing, great. Yeah, I don't know, a kid doesn't need to see it, he can also swing on it, on the road. That's fine. So they built it that way. And yeah, that comes back to the client. Yeah, unfortunately it wasn't accepted, because it wasn't the thing we wanted. And that's more or less the traditional way of. We run through the steps, end up in development, at the very last end, we get something which we don't want. In the Agile world, it's a little bit shortcut, so we have feedback circles, and yeah, adaptations to what we understand. So each other can look into a product increment, can look into what has happened in between. So maybe that's a starting point in the first place. That is shown to the client, he says, oh no, there must be a tube underneath there. And the developer says, okay, yeah, put it down. And so on and so on. So there are circles which we run, and at the very last end we get a product which fits to the needs of the client. So how does it work in Agile? In Agile we start again with this small image where the client has an idea of that it should be. And here, still it's a rough idea. So you have this start end, we have defined this area of this can be the end. It's not clearly defined yet. And here, there's this cloud of, it could be that. As the cloud in parentheses, there's this range of what it else could be. So it can run to the up down or to the bottom also. And everything will go into the right direction. In the start phase, we have done some circles, run a little bit at a time. We've gone a bit on the first track. We find out, okay, no, it's not exactly that direction, we need to go this one. So we narrowed down our cloud, our target, which we aim to, and the angle gets closer and closer. So we understand better what the client really needs. Always involve the testers who also understand what the client needs. Because, again, if the testing is outside and we just talk to the developer, and testing isn't involved, they're don't know what they really want. So maybe they start with the very first beginning. Good. There's an interim phase. We have gone again a little bit further, narrowed down. Cloud is smaller and smaller. And the very last end,